Hello everyone, Maryann here from Revealing Light, Tarot, Astrology and Spirituality, and I'm here to do today's reading. As always, there's lots going on. First of all, thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your likes. And thank you for any other way that you support this channel. I am always grateful for that support. Well, first, before we get into the grist of it, I just want to say that I can understand why my blue friends are celebrating today. There's been some big wins across the board, and most importantly in those swing states. My last reading looked at the polls and said, please don't worry about polls. There's problems with their sample size, and I know that because I studied research at uni, and all sorts of things will skew a sample to, that's just for starters, so that it's not representative of the entire population that you're supposedly surveying. The second thing is, like all polls, they're open to corruption. Can I just say that? We know that Trump pays the Wall Street Journal polls. We know that the RNC pays pollsters as well. Polling can be big business, and it's all part of this. In fact, I might do a podcast on it, so I won't talk too much about it today. But the big con that seems to govern, if you like, political behaviour, if we can fool you into thinking that we're doing really well, then that somehow translates into votes. It translates into notoriety, maybe not necessarily votes as we're seeing, and really, I'd say time and time again, politicians underestimate the intellect and the smartness of the electorate. So who is the biggest con of them all? And that would be the former president criminal indicted Donald Trump. Okay, I just want to say, we'll read on his New York civil case today, among other things, but I just want to point something out to you. This is from Lisa Rubin. She's a legal correspondent in the US, and she says Trump, and this is about his New York civil case in which he's already been found guilty of business fraud, and it's the trial is simply only about how big are the damages going to be. Trump, this is a quote, from the evidence presented to the court, Trump restored himself as sole trustee of his trust. Remember, he made a trust before when he got the presidency and said, I'm hands off now. The sole trustee of his trust before Biden's inauguration. So what he did in 2017 when he won the election, establishing this trust, well, just before Biden's inauguration, when he knew he had lost the election, he made himself the sole trustee. In other words, removed his sons who had been in the trustee, his adult children, his offspring. He removed them just before Biden's inauguration and made himself sole trustee. However, 6 days after his chief financial controller, Alan Weisselberg's indictment on business fraud on July 2021, he put Don Jr. back in charge again and testified it was due only to his return to politics and increasing confidence in his family's ability to manage the business. In other words, if you still don't get it, Donald Trump Sr. threw his son Don Jr. under the bus. That is all you probably need to know, apart from the fact that it's an admission that he knew he lost the election. The other thing that I'd want to point out as well is Ivanka Trump, his his, I was going to say, I don't know what she is now. It's his daughter. I always said that she would in some way turn on him, and it appears that her evidence has been unhelpful, to say the least, to Trump. So George Conway, as you know, constitutional lawyer, says basically it's a low-key way of throwing her father under the bus as well. So this is a family that obviously doesn't have loyalty to one another. Okay, let's get started today. The Biden administration, quite rightly, continues to call for a humanitarian pause in Gaza, while much of the world is saying ceasefire. More children killed in the relentless bombing of Gaza than at any time ever before. Prime Minister Netanyahu, I've read on him before, holds many, many secrets and is already on fraud and bribery charges that he wants to go away. So he's trying to dismantle his Supreme Court's authority in Israel. Many Israelis want him gone too. He says that we'll occupy Gaza after we've finished bombing the heck out of it. The Biden administration says, no, not on our watch, you won't. I have seen eventually a UN peacekeeping force in there, but we can look at that today as well. There'll be no peace. There'll be no peace without eventually ceasefire, those humanitarian pauses. For every bomb that the Israelis drop, for every family that they kill, for every family that is killed by Hamas, the prospect of terrorism increases. So innocent Israeli civilians were killed by Hamas, and then in retribution, Israel kills innocent Palestinians. So you can see that there are no really outcomes without peace and negotiation and settlement. And as many have said, a two-state solution. That's really the end of the story. We'll leave it up to the diplomats and the negotiators to do the rest, including bringing those hostages home if they're still alive under the rubble. All right, so let's have a look at if there'll be a pause and who will control Gaza. And then we're going to go to Ukraine, because the EU has started the process of accepting Ukraine into the EU. So we'll look at that. That's pretty big, because that means Ukraine will be part of Europe, not part of Russia. It's the very thing that Putin did not want. So I'm using the Palladini deck and also my Rider-Waite. Forgive me for being a little bit slow today. It's 8 minutes in. I was travelling yesterday and I'm pretty tired today. So Trump's testimony, let's begin with that. I'll put a timestamp if you don't want to have a catch-up on the news and you want to cut straight to the predictions. I'll put a timestamp on this video. All right. Okay. Mr. Trump, who went ballistic to the judge. I mean, it was quite clear there are two things. He was trying to goad the judge into a mistrial. And the second thing is, I actually think he wants to be sent to jail. He thinks that will increase his chances at the election. But as we've seen in the wonderful victories in the swing states, let's pause and mention them. Ohio re-elected its Kentucky re-elected its Democratic governor, Andy Beshear. Yay for Kentucky, very red state. Ohio, another very red state, voted for a constitutional amendment in the affirmative to enshrine abortion rights, reproductive rights. It's our body, we get to choose. Hands off government. That's not your role. Okay, so I haven't finished yet. Virginia was sweet. So Virginia elected a Republican governor, Glenn Youngkin, mainly because he was a clean-cut businessman, didn't look like a MAGA. They elected him. However, in their state elections, it was a blue wave, no two ways about it. Democrats held on to the Senate, and the House of Reps went to Democrats' way as well. Youngkin is I don't know, he's got executive powers, but he doesn't have legislative control at all. The state House, if you like, and Senate are blue. Pennsylvania went to Dems as well, and a whole raft of other races, mayoral races in tricky counties went blue. In Minnesota, a court case for the 14th Amendment, its Supreme Court found Trump could be on the ballot at the state level, however left it open for him to be banned from or not eligible, let's use the right terminology, not eligible for a federal at the federal election. So we'll see how that goes. In any case, there are other states working this out. It will go to the Supreme Court. All right. Trump's testimony. My goodness. A lot came out about Deutsche Bank, didn't it? And let's not forget who was an executive at Deutsche Bank, but Supreme Court Justice's son, who after conversations with Trump resigned. We know what Trump's capable of. All right, Trump's testimony. Let's take a look. Trump's testimony, did it actually... Okay. Just seeing a kid behind a desk. I think the judge perceives him as very juvenile. Meaning it was at the level of a kid, something a kid would do, not strategic and very unhelpful. But let's look at what the cards say. Did Trump's testimony help him at all in his New York civil fraud case? Whoa, okay, that wants to come out. Three of Swords, heartbreak. Well, what does someone do when they're throwing a tantrum? Look, if you don't, if you don't want to be penalised or face the consequences of fraud, don't commit the fraud. Three of Swords, and then crossed by the Fool card. Okay, so we got heartbreak and then new starts. We have the Knight of Pentacles here. He was inconsistent in his testimony, which is very, very clear. There was just no... I don't know. I'm not a judge, but I'm pretty sure judges would look for consistencies and they would look for inconsistencies. The Ace of Cups, a lot of emotion attached to this. What's in the sky? Look, at the end of the day, logic is what is going to determine the rule of law here, or the damages as they relate to the rule of law. It's not tantrums. It's not political rallies. And this is, again, what people don't understand when they're relying on these Steve Bannons of the world. It just doesn't translate with the majority, does it? Logic is what is here, and then we get justice. Justice will be done. That's an interesting card. Done according to the rule of the law and the truth as it stands. The scales of justice must be done. Why is even Trump being prosecuted here? Because there are laws around business fraud. If we didn't police this, you would have no protection at all. Shareholders wouldn't have any protection. It's about regulating and lawfully making sure businesses adhere to the law. Now, he thought he was president in the courtroom, but no, the judge has control. So there was a real issue around Trump not having control and the judge being in control. And then we get the Moon card. This speaks to his fiery emotions. He just was not... even for Trump, he was unstable in his testimony. And there was also things coming out that he didn't want to, he couldn't control what was coming out. This is a bad day for Trump. In the hopes and fears, we have the King of Pentacles. In a way, the pundits are right. This is the one that really hurts him because it goes to the heart of those, again, make a lot of noise, doesn't always translate to reality, his myth that he's such a good businessman. Now we get the Empress card here. He's worried, I think, about his connections to Russia surfacing. And I'm not saying that they won't. I'm saying these cards are indicating they may very well do. Now we see here the Hanged Man. The Empress is also abundance, the yield that we get, the harvest that we get in time, and we get the Hanged Man. So it's going to cost Trump in monetary damages, and then we get the end here. Will his businesses close? I think he's going to have those licenses taken away. Isolation. The High Priestess, secrets coming out. Sorry, that's the promotional Palladini card. We don't need that. Wish fulfillment and the past. Okay, so secrets coming out about the past. And we also get the Nine of Rods speaking to the boundaries that need to be in place, as I thought. No, his testimony, it's about as bad as it could get. He really, in a way, sunk himself with what he did. Okay, and look, the appeal court will uphold this judge's findings. Certainly the monetary findings, but anyway, that'll be a reading for another time. Let's keep going because we've got a lot to get through. Okay, will there be a humanitarian pause? None of us want to see innocent people killed. We've been warned. The UN has warned us. I think they've lost, it was 70 staff the last time that I saw. Countless other countries have lost humanitarian people that have been on the ground in delivering aid, and last count was 4,000 children, 10,000 dead. Okay, and again, Hamas is still bombing Israel as well, and they still hold those hostages. We are being shown that war, the killing, and that violence will never answer. Will never be an answer. And if we can't accept that, I don't know. There's not much to be said about our humanity, is there? All right, so will there be a humanitarian pause? I know that the Biden administration's putting real pressure on Israel. Will there be a humanitarian pause in Gaza? Will there be a humanitarian pause in Gaza? We'll do a short 10 of Swords, so much killing there. And the Six of Swords, okay, yeah, there will be at some point. It looks like there will be, but only after a lot of death. The Seven of Swords, again, if you look back on my reading, all is not as it should be. There are lies here. There is deceit of some sort here. We have the King of Swords in the past, logic and strategy. And the Knight of Cups, there will be an offer of some sort. I don't know how all of that is going to play out, but there looks like there's going to be a peace still. Now we get the past here, and the clarifying card is defending the past. Okay, so at what point do we stop acting on the past? I think I'll have to go all the way. The Knight of Swords is the truth, and the Page of Cups. Something will occur that will make others step in, and then we get the Strength card. I think this is America, again showing its strength and its bargaining chips. We have the Five of Cups here, the loss on both sides. the burdens that people carry and moving on from them, because there is nowhere to go but to move on from that. This is not in the immediate future, I don't think, but there will be some kind of ceasefire. All right, who will control Gaza? Who will control Gaza? Who will control Gaza after this? Who will control Gaza after this? Who will control Gaza after the ceasefire? Who will control Gaza after the ceasefire? So I see many ships stationed there. I think there's American ships, shifts. That's interesting. There could be rotational stuff there required as well. Show me who will control Gaza after the ceasefire. Page of Pentacles. There's going to be a lot of aid required because of the extent of destruction. Six of Swords, moving out of troubled waters. I like that. It's not going to be Israel. The Eight of Pentacles is skill levels in the past, the Wheel of Fortune. That's moving on in a good way, not a bad way. What are we moving on from? The toxicity of this whole thing, the devil. The devil is in this war, whichever way you want to cut it, when innocent people die like this. All right, so the Ace of Rods, it's also who controls that aid funding that's obviously has been going into Gaza via Israel. Now we've got new starts here and an inevitability. There will be a new start. It won't be Israel. They've already occupied Gaza in 2005. They're not going to be allowed to do it again. The Two of Pentacles, it's dicey. It really is dicey. The whole situation, we get the High Priestess again. Secrets being kept, guardrails, and walking away from a loss. We get the Queen of Pentacles, stability. So the best way to stabilise Gaza is for, let's see. Okay, there are currently talks going on here, quite serious talks about who does this. Is this the UN, as I think it is? The Chariot looks like, and the Four of Rods, going home and to death, basically. They will be allowed to return to death and full illumination of the destruction here. Manifestation, isolation, and the Three of Pentacles coming together to work to build something that is different from the past. I think it is a UN peacekeeping force that eventually goes in. There could be rotational obligations there for many countries, actually. So the Gaza basically is going to need a lot of money to restore, rebuild, allow people to go home. What a mess. What a mess. All right, let's have a look at Ukraine and the EU. And then we'll finish it up because I'm tired today. Okay, will Ukraine, which has been offered a concessional kind of ascension pathway, will Ukraine be admitted to the EU? Will Ukraine be admitted to the EU? Will Ukraine be admitted to the EU? I don't think I probably even need to go any further. It's not clean cut though. There's a lot of people, not a lot. There's people in the EU who don't necessarily want Ukraine there, but it looks like they're going to be brought into the family. It was a strategy, and this, of course, yes, Zelensky is an Aquarian and Putin, yes, is a Libra. I've done their charts before, but my head holds a lot of information. Anyway, it's been a strategy of Zelensky's for quite some time, and of course Putin knew that. He knew that at the time, that this was where it's heading. But they've got a lot of baggage. We get holding, well, what's that? Standing one's ground. I just see problems with other EU states not wanting Ukraine to be there. But I think they do get in, and they do get in relatively quickly. Oh, these are really good cards. Russia is in the hopes and fears. So look to those states that are opposing this and look to their ties with Russia. Yes, they will. They'll get some kind of, is it provisional membership? And that's probably going to happen fairly quickly. They're all yes cards. They're coming. They're going to join the EU. Okay, albeit in a provisional or whatever way, whatever the process is. Okay, one last question for my blue friends and my independent friends and my never Trumper friends and my Republicans who would never vote for Trump in a million years friends, red and blue friends, just not MAGA friends. Oh, I could keep going, but I won't. All right, so the victories for Democrats, that we saw this week, are these going to be translated into 2024? Will they get the same kind of victories in 2024 in the federal election? Will Democrats get the same? Not the same. Will Democrats get similar or enough of these victories as we move into 2024? Only if people vote, I'm seeing. Doesn't matter how they're feeling, they've got to. That's what I saw. So we get the Hermit card. A lot of people feeling not so good about politics generally, but about Trump. This is talking about Trump being isolated. In other words, MAGA is isolated. Because why? It's a crossroads time in the US, as we know. We get the moon, and a lot of truth is coming to the surface. It's not all good, is it? It can be quite upsetting, really, can't it? Okay, in the sky. Never lose hope. Never lose hope. I love that. Now we get people are feeling fairly insecure. What are they feeling insecure about? MAGA. They're feeling more insecure about MAGA than they are about inflation. Knight of Pentacles. They're looking for the consistent choice. We get the Ten of Pentacles. This is business. This is money in politics. It's also family wealth as well. Okay. Not everything that Biden has done has been detrimental to family wealth. In fact, lowering costs of insulin, things like that. We get hopes and fears victory, and then we get celebration. You're going to see a similar level. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh gee whiz. Let's not forget, it only happens if people vote. But thank you, Spirit. You're giving us some good news. These are the outcome cards. Star, Three of Cups, celebration. Chariot, things moving very, very quickly. Sun, beautiful sun is coming out. Full illumination. The truth is coming out. If Republicans keep on the way they're keeping on with their extreme agendas, it doesn't translate into votes. All right, leave it there. Thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.